Hey guys, thank you so much for deciding to spend just a couple of your minutes with me today while we take a look at another note-taking / wiki application called WikiDocs. Now, I came across WikiDocs the same way I come across a lot of different applications, and that is through the self-hosted newsletter. It comes out every Friday morning if you want to check that out. They're not sponsoring this, but I really like what Ethan is doing with this newsletter, so I try to promote it whenever it makes sense. So if you're not familiar with the self-hosted newsletter, go check it out. It's where I get a lot of my video ideas, so I want to pay him back a little bit by making sure you guys know about it. I'll have links to it and everything else we talk about in this video in the description down below. But let's talk about WikiDocs here just a little bit. We've talked about other wiki applications and note-taking applications and that sort of thing in the past, and you guys seem to really enjoy those about as much as I do. So I'm really happy to talk about this one. Wikidocs.it is their main homepage. This is kind of their demo site as well, and they've got a way that you can come in here and take a look around and kind of get familiar with how it works. Of course, that's what this video right here is about as well. And they've got all kinds of great information in here that I encourage you to take a look through. If you're also inclined, you can jump over to their GitHub repository to dig through the code, reporting the issues, bugs, feature requests, things like that can all be done here as well. Currently, it looks like the GitHub repository has 196 stars. If you're interested in this project and would like to show the developers that, give the project a star, maybe follow it to let them know that you're interested. But yeah, so anyway, let's jump back over to their website. They've got their basic syntax. What I love about, in fact, you know what? Oh, here we go. So what I think is cool about this is this kind of has a two-part editor. Basically, you can use the WYSIWYG editor, which is the what you see is what you get editor that's got all of this stuff across the top, or you can use Markdown language, and I absolutely love that. They've got all of their syntax stuff in here that you can take a look at and get familiar with. So again, if you're not familiar with Markdown, this is a great way to start getting familiar with it. Just some really, really neat stuff in here for the syntax. We've got customization. We'll take a look at that. It looks like there's also a style sheet you can edit if you want to do that. There's a demo. We're not even going to look at their demo because we're going to look at mine. The developers, they're all listed out here in ways that you can get in touch with them if you wanted to. There are examples here, features, licenses. In fact, I lied. I should slow down. So features, open source, plain text files, no database required. This uses a flat file markdown system, and I love it. Full editor is a full WYSIWYG, like I mentioned earlier, supports math, KaTeX, unlimited page revisions, uploading and downloading attachments, uploading images from the clipboard parenthetically there, and I love that. I use that so often when I'm sharing images or screenshots or whatever. I love that they've incorporated being able to copy an image and paste it in and have it upload. Well done on that. Content can be categorized in namespaces. We'll talk about that in a bit. Automatic generated index and sitemap. I cannot tell you, the automatically generated index is something that I've been looking for in a note-taking system for a really long time. We'll show that here in a bit as well. The sitemap is really easy. You just go to sitemap.xml, and hey, look, there's a sitemap. It's just there. It's automatically built. Well done on that as well. Public and private browsing. So you can make this so that it can be public just very easily, no passwords or anything like that. Or if you want to restrict access, you can make it so people have to enter kind of a universal password in order to view the contents of the site. We'll take a look at that. Syntax highlighting, multi-language, dark mode, sitemap, and many more. And then there's a license and setup here. They've got a quick run. I don't advise using that because there's no persistence in there. And then they've got a Docker compose, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump over to my instance first, just so we can kind of see how this works and how easy it is to use. And then we'll come back and talk about deploying this and a couple of little things that I ran into. So if we come over here to docs.dbtech.dev, I may even leave this up so you can play around with it. Just a couple of quick things, like the text on the homepage. I just pulled some text from a site. I don't even remember where, but I sourced it. So pictochart.com com talking about AI content generators. So that's where this content came from. I wanted to do some formatting and some images and that sort of thing. So here we can see, we've got our homepage, we've got some bold, we've got some bullet points, we've got a block quote, we've got an image that I've pasted in. That's an image, not text. And then of course a link down here. This blue that you see up here and down there, and then the link down there at the bottom, all of that was a color that I picked that we'll take a look at in the settings area. But again, there's also a style sheet you can edit if you want to do that. So this is my homepage, right? This is just a generic homepage that I filled in for the sake of having something on my homepage. And then we've got, like the name, and we've got a little subtext here. We can just search right here, and the search works really well. Like, I could just say like WordPress, for instance, and there's everything that involves WordPress. Just one article, because that's all I've got in there. But we can see that not only does it return the article or articles that feature that word, it also highlights those words in the results, and I love that. Nothing really going on over here. We do show when the page was last edited, both date and time. So I dig that. And you can set the time zone if you want to do that. And then this says powered by WikiDocs, and then that will jump over to their GitHub repository if I click that, and it even opens any new page. I can't express to you how happy that makes me. As somebody who used to build websites, having somebody build something where the links automatically open in a new page makes me so happy. Like, it just, well done. So we're going to come back to our page here. Let's come back to the home page just so we can kind of reset ourselves. If we come over here and we click on content management. Okay, so we've got content management, and this is just some paragraphs that I pulled from ChatGPT, again, for the sake of filling in some text here. Now, what I like about this is that we've got our main page, right? But all of the subpages are listed out down here. What did they call that? I don't remember. I'm really bad. Under features, the automatic generated index. That's what we're talking about here. All of this down here was automatically generated every time I created a sub page. Just like this whole navigation down the left side was automatically generated every time I created a page and a sub page, and all of that was done beautifully. This is such a time saver. I love what they've done with that. When I saw that, my jaw dropped. I know it's a simple thing, but so many developers overlook simple things like this to help with the development of these types of content solutions. And I love that they've got this automatic indexing built into it. And of course, from here, from this page, I can click on Drupal, and you'll notice that down the left side, every time you go to a different page, it highlights. So you know where you are in the navigation. If I click on Joomla, now we've got yet another subpage there. And if I scroll down, hey, look, we've got another subpage down here at the bottom as well. They've just done such a good job with the way this whole thing lays out and works. Let's do this. Just because I haven't actually looked at this in the mobile setting here. And I know people are going to ask, well, does it have an app? You don't need an app for most things these days. So here's our page layout. It still looks amazing. Everything stacks very, very neatly. Our sidebar, I love that the sidebar pops out that way. It's just so well done. And of course, if I click out of there, it goes away. Like, they've just done such a good job, and they've been very thoughtful about how all of this works. So I can go to like WordPress, and here we've got an image that I pasted in, and we've got some links, and here we've got a code block where you can copy the code block. Again, it's the little details here. And again, we can see, when it was last edited, that sort of thing. And then of course, inventory, I put something under there with Grossy, and then note taking. And of course, under note taking, again, we've got our introduction and our automatic index down there. I'm just so happy with this. So yeah. Okay, sorry, I blinked there for a second. I thought I had something important to say, but I didn't. But what I wanted to get to was up here in the top right-hand corner. There are two buttons. One, to print the document, and it immediately just goes into print mode. And it's so simple, so elegant. They've done such a good job with this whole process. And two things here, actually. Like, they automatically brought up the print page, so you can select, do I want to print this, or do I want to save it as a PDF, whatever, right? But they've also taken us to a different page that takes out all of the styling. And that from a printing page, I know it's a simple thing, but again, simplicity is so important sometimes. But if I close this, hey, look, we're back on the page we were just on. It opened all of that in a new page as to not distract us from the actual content that was there. Again, a well thought out way to handle that. The other button up here at the top right is to sign in to edit or edit or add new documents. So we're going to click that. What's your authentication code? Basically, what's your password? This whole site only relies on a password. There is no username. And I know some people are going to have an issue with that, and I kind of get it. But you're going to have to provide your own security in certain aspects. Make sure that your authentication code, your password, is strong and not easily guessable. That's what I'm going to tell you there is make sure that you've got a good, solid password. And there are other things that may be coming up in content as ways to add two-factor authentication to applications like this if you really wanted to go that route. It's something I'm kind of tinkering around with in the background of an application developer who reached out to me about their project because of another project of theirs I covered in the past. But I'm going to put in my password. Oops, and I put in the wrong one. Hey, look, there's my error message. Cool. So now it says authentication successfully. I would probably reword that because it doesn't make sense. Those two words together don't line up quite right, but it is what it is, right? So what's cool about this, if we go to the home page, we can, again, pick any of our pages that we want and then come up here and edit the page. And here is our WYSIWYG stuff here, bold, italic, strike through, heading, code block. We basically all of our stuff there. One of the things that I really dig that they've done is toggle side by side. So you can edit over on the left side. In fact, this isn't a good page for that. Let me come over here to like Drupal, for instance, and click edit. There we go. And then do side by side. Here we can see what the code looks like, what the markdown looks like, all of that. And they scroll together. I actually hadn't paid attention to that before. But then you can see what the code looks like, what the actual page will look like. I think they've done a wonderful, wonderful job on this. We're going to go ahead and exit out of all of that. But here is their WYSIWYG editor. We can see that there's Markdown in here as well. So they've done a really cool job with that. And of course, down here, you can cancel editing. You can go to images. You can see what images have been uploaded to this specific page. Attachments, if you wanted to do that. I've actually tested that. I probably should have, but I didn't. We can delete this content. We can show revisions of this content. And we can see that each of these revisions is stored as a .md file. We can back up the current version manually if we want to do that. Oops. Oh, I toggled that off. By default, it is backed up automatically. Or we can click Save. I'm just going to cancel out of this. We didn't do anything here, but editing content in here is so simple, and I absolutely love it. So we can add a new document, right? And it automatically, based on where you are in the site, like I'm under content management / Drupal. So I could just say, extensions, if I could spell that right, extensions, right? And click OK. And then this is a test, just again, for the sake of simplicity, and click Save. And here we can see it automatically added that sub navigation. And then if we go to content management, look, it added extensions to our automatic indexing. I love what they've done here. So editing content is dead simple. Editing the navigation, dead simple. You can click on Add New, and you can just say, test -page / right, and go there. And then click Save. I'm not going to put any content in it, but here we go. It automatically added that, and I'm glad we did that because, for better or for worse, it's completely up to you how you want to classify that. It automatically sorts these categories alphabetically, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So again, adding pages, editing navigation automatically, of course. I love how they've built this out. The last thing I want to look at in this kind of demonstration section is this settings page. If we come in here and we take a look, it says just a database-less markdown flat file wiki engine. It's just that simple. You can give it a title, a subtitle, the owner, a notice, the privacy banner if you wanted to have one of those. Your edit authentication code, this is the password to let you log in as the administrator so that you can edit the page, or edit the site rather. There's an authentication code that you can add as well, basically a password to allow or to restrict access to the content on the site without a password. Here's one thing I would recommend, and because I ran into this personally. Don't set these to be the same thing. If you do, no matter what, you're going to be logged in as somebody who can edit. So make sure that these two passwords are different, one to view, one to edit, unless you just want it to be public, and then don't put in a view authentication password. It's just that simple. The color, this blue that you keep seeing everywhere, that's the color code for that. We're going to toggle dark mode on because I prefer dark mode. I'm going to click save. Now, one thing I wish what happened there is I edited into this settings page, and then I saved, and then it kicked me out of the settings area. I wish it would leave me in the settings area after I saved. There may be more things that I want to do. Or maybe there should be an apply button instead, and then like a save and exit. Something, I don't know. But I think there should be a back button or something down here to exit once we're done with all of our editing. It's just a weird little thing for me. Probably doesn't matter, but there you go. Our language is by default English, but there are several other languages in here to choose from. And again, like I said, you can add a time zone, and then you can also add Google tags for analytics and that sort of thing. It doesn't look like they support any other third-party analytics other than Google. As a self-hoster, I wish there was just a spot to drop some JavaScript to put in my own tracking code if I wanted to do that, but you know, it is what it is. But that's the settings page. It's really just that easy. Again, the authentication code is just going to be the password to let you administer the site. And the view authentication code over here is to restrict access to the site to just viewing content without a password. So that's what's going on there. That's it, man. It's really just that easy to use. I love the simple method that they went with. Absolutely dig it. With that said, though, let's jump over and take a look at how easy this is to deploy. Okay, so here we are on the wikidocs.it/setup page. And of course, we're going to do this via Docker. There is a quick run like we talked about earlier, but this doesn't have any persistence for storage for the files, so don't use that method. You can use a Docker run command if you want to, but I'm not a big fan of that. Next, we've got the Docker Compose, and of course, that's what we're going to take a look at in this setup here. Again, with the newest version of Docker Compose, we don't need the version up here. We can skip that part. Our service will be WikiDocs. You can name that whatever, but of course, I like to name it whatever the service is. The image is Zavi86 / WikiDocs. I might put latest on that. I don't know if it's necessary, though. The environment variables for PUID and PGID are 1000, which is probably fine, unless you're putting this on something like a Synology, and then you need to get the actual values for your account for those things. Just something to keep in mind there. The port by default runs on port 80, both on the external side and the internal side. If you need to change port 80 to something else, you'll want to just change the left side of this. Don't change the colon or anything after it. And then for the volumes, this path to local WikiDocs datasets or volume datasets, this is just where you're going to store the data on your server. Now, I'm going to copy this like so, and I'm going to jump over to Portainer. If you know how to deploy this via command line, via like a docker compose.yml file or whatever, that's awesome. That's just not what we're doing here. If you know how to do that, you can extrapolate what we're about to do here and deploy it via command line if you want to go that route. What I want to do is just open this up and then come into right here where it says stacks. Then I'm going to create a new stack by clicking the blue button up here, and I'm going to paste that in there. And then I'm going to just give it a name. I'm going to call it WikiDocs. Now, we've covered all of this. What I want to do is I want to change, I just want to change this line right here to be somewhere on my server. So I'd like to do like home Docker WikiDocs. We'll do data sets. Oops. Right, and that is where it will store that information on my server. And this works just fine. However, in fact, you know, let's deploy this. We're gonna deploy this twice, just so that we can see a couple of the things that I've run into. So we've got our WikiDocs here set up and running. Everything here looks good. I'm actually going to change this to 8080, just so we can see this is how we would change the port if we needed to change it to something other than 80. That's how we would do it. It's just that simple. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click on deploy the stack. We're going to give this just a moment to download everything and deploy it. Once it's done, the page will reload, and then we'll take a look at getting WikiDocs set up via the browser setup process. Cool, literally like 30 seconds to do that. So I'm going to open this up. We'll take a quick look at the logs. No errors or anything in there, so that's good. There shouldn't be. There's not really much of it to do. No databases to connect to or anything like that. So now that this is up and running, I'm just going to come over here to where the ports are, and I'm going to click that. And I'm going to say continue. And it's saying, hey, it's not configured. Let's launch the setup script. So we're going to do that. And immediately we're met with some warnings. I don't know if that's because they've got debug turned on by default or whatever the case is, but when I first ran into this, I was super confused. And look, here's the thing. I'm running this in a Proxmox LXC container, so that may be the issue. However, if you run into this, just know that we're going to power through this together. The path here, we're just going to leave this as it is. I don't want to put this in a subdirectory or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it at the root directory here. My title is going to be WikiDocs Tut, and this is for the video tutorial, right? And then the owner, that's me, DB Tech. No copyright. And then our authentication code to edit, we're going to enter that twice, right? And then we'll click continue. And it's like, hey, all of this looks good, except for these two lines up here that drive me insane. But everything here looks good, right? We're happy. And then we're just going to click continue. And it says, hey, now you can continue. And now all those error messages go away. So I know it's probably just a little thing. It's like saying, hey, this configuration file isn't there. I feel like they need to suppress that somehow as to not give false alarm. But now that we're here, we're all set up. Everything's ready to go. I'm just going to sign in using the password, the authentication code I just entered. Cool. Authentication successfully. Again, authentication was successful, successfully authenticated. Something that wording needs to change in my opinion. And again, we can come in, we can edit this document, we can create new documents. We can come in and edit this. I apologize. Something is probably happening at the store nearby. Anyway, that's how easy it is to get set up, despite there being a little bit of nonsense in the header for some missing files that the setup process generates for itself. Now, with that said, there is one other thing that I want to show you here. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to close this instance. I'm going to actually completely shut down. I'm going to remove this entire instance right here, right? We're going to leave this stack up because I want to demonstrate fully that this isn't, that there's something weird going on here, right? So I'm going to come back over to stacks. I'm going to leave this one alone. I'll leave it as it is. I also want to show that there are no volumes in here other than Portainer at the moment, right? I'm going to come back to stacks. I'm going to add a new stack. I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to call this V2. All of that looks fine. Okay, and I'm going to change this port to 9090. Now, the reason I want to show this is because I know that sometimes we like to use Docker volumes for this. We're going to call this WikiTut vol, right? That's what our Docker volume for this installation is going to be. So I'm going to come, I'm going to do volumes, right? Like so, and then we're going to come back. Like so. Okay, now we have a completely different instance ready to go. Now, of course, it's going to use the same Docker image. It doesn't need to re-download it because it's already there. It's the newest version. But I'm going to scroll down and click on deploy the stack. We're going to give this a second to deploy. Again, happened very, very fast because we already had all of the stuff we needed. I'm going to open up WikiDocs V2. This is the one that we just deployed. We're going to take a look at the logs. Again, everything here looks fine. And there was nothing else in there, right? No passwords or any information there. If I click on this 9090 here, it shows it is already being set up. And it wasn't. Like, we didn't go through a setup process on this. If I then click on sign in to edit or add new documents, I have no idea what the password, the authentication code is for this. It never gave me one. It never gave me the chance to set one up. I've tried admin, demo, root, none of those worked. So I wanted to show that, because if you try to set this up using a Docker volume, you're going to run into this issue, at least at the time of recording this video. You presently can't use a Docker volume to set this up. Otherwise, it won't go through the setup process to allow you to create any of your authentication codes or any of that sort of thing. So make sure that you use a mapped volume for this, so that you can go through the setup process and then set up your authentication code to edit, and then of course get in and set up all of your other stuff. So that's WikiDocs, and I really dig it. Like, I'm a big fan of this. I really love what they've done so far with it. I'm sure there will be more development as time goes on. Again, this is currently at like 196 stars on their GitHub repository, and I would love to see that number go way up. So that's it. If you want to check it out, definitely check out the video description for more details about it. If you want to support them, give them a star, maybe follow their project. If you want to support DB Tech, the channel, and the dude behind the camera, in front of the camera, I suppose, you can like and subscribe. You like this video, subscribe to the channel. You can get ad-free early access to my content over on Patreon, or becoming a channel member. Patreon, in my opinion, is better. It's cheaper. They don't take as big of a cut, so I can charge less over there, like $1 a month, to get ad-free access to all of my content. So, of course, none of that is obligatory. That is completely at your discretion. But that's it. That's what I wanted to cover today. I want to thank you guys again for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.